Hello, welcome back to another video in Rails API plus React front-end video series. And this is part 4, I think. And this video is completely independent of the previous 3 videos. So if you want to watch it directly, you can. In this video, we'll particularly set up the React project for us. Okay. And in previous videos, we have worked with the device and Rails, mainly working around Rails APIs. And in this video, we will start working with React. Okay. So let's do this. Let me shift it down, close this. This is my project. If you remember in the first video, I mentioned that I'll create a code challenges project folder, and inside that I'll have a backend. This is our Rails application code. Okay. I've kept it separate because I want to create another folder which is front end, which will be our, what is this? React code. Okay. So let's go and do that. So you can see I'm already in my code challenges folder in my terminal. And to create a React project, we'll use Vite. Okay, so Vite React. Let's see. So you can install it basically. It is one of the latest tools that is getting used currently in React. So I'll use this npm. To use this, to install Vite, you will need Node.js also, Node Package Manager. So you'll have to install that also. Let's install this. Wait. Yes, create latest and then the app name. App name will be front end. Okay. I know we will be using code challenges as the project name, but I want to create a front end name folder and that's why I'm naming it front end. Oh, sorry. I copied it from dollar. Okay. Why do they start with dollar? I'll have to search it. What's the reason behind that? Okay, now in this, I will have to select what type of framework that library or framework I want to use. So I'm using React library, and in that I'll be using standard JavaScript. So now I have to follow these commands. Let's do this. Go to your front end, then install. It will install all the dependencies that are already mentioned in package.json file when we are trying to set up the Vite React project, and then finally run it to see the output. Let's run this and we'll get it on this. Now, there's one important concept here. So earlier when we were creating Rails APIs, they were running off on localhost 3000 port, right? And this is working on 5173. So these are completely separate ports, right? If normally if you follow this video series, you will get separate ports and you won't have to worry about anything. But if for some reason you have these separate same ports, your project, both of these code you won't be able to run. So you'll have to keep separate ports in any case. By default, it will work without any concern. So let's open this and we can see this. So what I will do is I'll get rid of everything and use hello world and display hello world basically. So that's normally the most standard thing that I do. Now you can see we have this front end project. Now let's go and remove everything that we don't need. So first is CSS file. I'll get rid of all the CSS because I know that I'll be using Tailwind CSS. So get rid of this also. Main.jsx uses this, which is fine. Uses this and this and this. Okay, great. So let's go to app.jsx. Get rid of everything and just use h1 hello world. Let's do. Now this is not getting used, so let's get rid of this. All of these are not getting used, so let's get rid of them. Anything else should I remove? In assets we have react.svg file, we don't need that. Great, so we have this hello world now. Let's change the title here. For that, we'll have to go to this and change code challenges. I'm not changing this SVG, sorry, this favicon icon. You can do that if you want to, or let me quickly check if I can find something. Hero icons, code, yes, copy SVG. Let's go to which file it is, vite.svg. So we can directly edit this actually. It is /vite.svg, so it should be in public. Let me check. Are there any dimensions or anything? True, true, true. Iconography 31, 32, 32. Okay. I'll keep the previous one actually. And in that, I'll just change the path. Let me show it to you. And if I paste whatever I have copied, I'll cut this, paste it here. What all things I can change? I just don't want to use these properties basically. Stroke width we can use. So let's use this here. Anything else? Let's get rid of this. Refresh. And nothing is working. There is some icon, but it is not working. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just directly copy paste. Okay, now it is working. Great. So I'll rename this also. Rename to, where is rename? Logo. And in this file, I'll go and change it to logo. It is working correctly. Great. So now we'll use Tailwind CSS. So for that, I'll write Tailwind CSS Vite. Okay, if you're not installing or setting up this project using Vite and you are using the traditional method of using React, then you'll have to search React here. Okay, we have created our project, install Tailwind CSS. So let's install it. Let's stop the server, install, initiate. Great. Now let's mention this in our Tailwind config.js file. Tailwind config.js file. So Tailwind is basically, it helps us in writing effective CSS basically. Okay. Anything else that I have to do? In index.css file, I have to use this. So index.css. Where is index.css? Have I removed it? No, it is here. And finally run. But before running this, I'll copy this Tailwind CSS code also. So these are Tailwind CSS classes basically. Let's paste it here. To run any command, to run this project, we'll have to write npm run dev, and it will just start the React project, not the Rails project. Okay, and it is working correctly. Great. Okay, I think we'll have to use main.jsx because we don't have index.jsx. We wrote this right. Where is this? Oh, okay. Sorry. Because we have this index.jsx, which again is connected to our main.jsx, so we don't have to worry about anything else. Great. Refresh. It is working. Okay. So now coming back to React, after setting up the project, we have to learn React also, right? So I won't go in real depth of React. You will still be able to understand a lot of things if you have followed, if you have done coding in any framework like Ruby on Rails or maybe Angular or anything else. So you will still be able to understand this. But if you have just done HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you can follow this series. But I would highly recommend that you watch some React videos somewhere, maybe for 30 minutes or 1 hour. That way you will get much more better results because of this series. Okay. So we have done the setup part also. Now let's see what all things do we need. So this is our app module, right? Right now I won't focus on what all things I have to create at separate components and all those kind of things. We know some basic details. Uh, This is how this architecture works. Our index.js calls this main.jsx file. As soon as this file gets called, it will go to document.getElementById, which is root ID. We can see this root ID in our index.html file. This is root ID. And inside that, it will render our app component. Okay. Now, what is an app component? If we go to our app component, it is a function, React component. It's a React component, but it's a function. And in that, whatever we return, it will get rendered. Okay. So because we are returning this entire hello world gets rendered. So for example, if you inspect, go to console, sorry, not console, HTML, body, you can see div root. This is coming from our index.html file. And inside that, we have this h1 thing, right? Which is equivalent to this. Now we can see this is not getting rendered. Okay. I'll explain you quickly why it is not getting rendered. But if we write something like this will get changed. You can see it's now inside a div and everything. For better clarity, I can write something really random, which is Rajat, which does not exist, but you can see, right? So this entire element is getting returned. So one of the concepts that this return follows is that there should be only one element. Okay, so this div, this will get considered as one element. If there were two closing tags, two separate elements, this will be considered as two elements. Okay, so we don't need that. We only have to return one element. That's the first concept. Second is, now we can easily see this div is of no use, right? What if the UI was like something like this? S2 monthly code challenges. Okay, so now we know that because we have two separate items, we cannot return two separate items, right? We cannot do something like this. Okay, because React doesn't allow us to return two separate elements. It needs only one single element. So the most common solution that anyone thinks of as a beginner is that we can use div and wrap these things inside a div, so that now it will become just one single element. This is a single element only, and we can directly show it. Refresh, and we can see root has a div which we just wrote, and inside that we have div h1 and h2. But now, if we think logically, we know that this div is of no use. We are just doing this so as to fulfill React's criteria of returning only one element. So how to fix this? For that, React has something called as React fragment. Okay, this is a fragment. Okay, what it means is that it will be treated as a one single element. It will return that element, but in code language, it doesn't have any other significance other than creating one element. Okay, for example, now if you see inside div, there is no other div. Inside this root div, there is no other div, and we can see these two things directly rendered. Okay, so it got rid of the extra div that we had. It's called React fragment. I think you can use something like react.fragment also to use this. Okay, we are getting error because React is not defined. Great, no worries. Let's import this React from React. And we can see still the output is same. But a better way of writing this is to write it in a short form, which is just this. Okay. But the keyword is fragment. Okay. It's equivalent to like when we tear a paper in multiple pieces, each piece is called a fragment, right? So it's a simple fragment that we are using here. I hope this part is clear. Now let's go on and move towards our website part. So I'll keep my website UI pretty standard. What I will do is I'll create a div at the bottom. This, by the way, this entire page will act as a landing page. This is my home page. It will act as a landing page. So in this, I want to give maximum information to the user without they don't need to sign in. They just have to get information from our website, right? So to do that, by the way, I'll explain a couple of more things. This is a JSX file. Okay, so JSX is basically a combination of JavaScript and HTML. So you can see in this file, We can easily write JavaScript. We can easily write JavaScript as well as we can easily write HTML also, right? So this is called JSX. Now, inside this return, we have to strictly write HTML only, but we can still write JavaScript if we want to. But for that, we will have to start with curly braces. Okay, for example, const x is equals to 5. Actually, this should not work. Yes, it won't. Uh, Maybe I can create something like this. Const true or not true. Value is equals to true. Value and this will also teach you another concept. Not hello. Rajat Talesra. So you can see we can see here Rajat Talesra. So how is it coming? This value, which is true, if this is true, this will get executed. Okay. This is first operation, first value in AND operator, and this is the second value. So if first one is true, second one gets executed, which is equivalent to rendering this h1 tag Rajat Talesra. And if this is false, this won't get visible, right? So that automatically means that this is JSX. It's not pure HTML. It's a combination of JavaScript and HTML. Okay. So we don't need this right now. Let's get rid of this. So now I'll start comments. For using a shortcut for comments, what you do is, if you are on Mac, you can use command with backslash, command plus backslash, or in Windows and all, you can use control slash backslash. So you'll create couple of components in it. Okay. In React, components are basically you divide your website into multiple smaller parts. Those parts should be, in most of the cases, independent of each other, such that one of them gets updated. That doesn't mean that other one has to update. Okay. For example, the basic example of this is if you're creating any project purely in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, even to make a single change, you have to write a lot of code. And if you're not doing that, maybe you might have to refresh the entire page. Okay. Or if you're visiting some new page, you'll have to rewrite your code, even the navbar, the footer, and everything. So there is a lot of duplicacy in pure HTML, CSS, JavaScript code. In React, it doesn't need that. So what I will do is I'll create a navbar component. I'll create a footer. In between that, we'll create hero, which will be sort of landing page, code, challenges, something like that. We'll create features. We'll create all challenges or challenge list, and maybe something else later on. I'm not fully sure. So let's start working towards that. We'll create one simple component, which is a navbar. Let's start focusing towards that. So to create that, what I'll do is I'll create a new folder called components. And in that, I'll create a new file called navbar.jsx. So this is a pretty standard coding convention. Your name of the component starts with capital letters. Okay, so it's a simple function. I'll create an arrow function actually. Const navbar. This is an arrow function from JavaScript. Now this particular component, let's return this actually. Return. I'll write this here, something like p tag, and inside that I'll write this is navbar component. Nothing serious. Okay. Now this particular function is private right now, so we'll have to export it. Export default, so that other classes can use it, other files can use this. So we are exporting this. Now once we have exported this, that means we can use it in here. So let's try to import this first. Import, where is our, what are we importing? Navbar. And we are importing it from components navbar. Okay. And now we can use it. Let's try to use it here. Great. You can see this is a navbar component. Okay, I'll get rid of the other code that we have. Now, if you have a look at it from comparing to previous code, this is simply our custom HTML tag. You can understand it in this way also. In React, we'll call them as components, but H1 is a H1 is a tag. Similar to that, navbar is a tag now. Now H1 has a lot of properties, right? Class name, maybe something else also. So similar to that, in navbar also we can have multiple properties. For example, I just want to create my own custom property, which is name, and I name it as Rajat. Okay. Now I can use this here. How can I use it? I'll have to start with curly braces because they are properties. Name. I won't go in depth of why we have to go to curly braces and all. I think it will become too long. But the basic point is that everything that you set in here in React, if it would have been a normal function, we would have to write something like this. But it's not a normal function, it's a React component. And in component, everything that you do, for example, uh, surname is equals to Talisa. Everything that you do, all of these are properties. Okay, you can see this here, property. Okay, so all these are part of properties. You can catch these properties in something like this, and finally properties.name. So you can see Rajat is here, right? But another way of doing this is you can basically, what is this called? Uh, I forgot the term, but you can spread all the properties directly. So I'll use name and surname. You can name it any way you want. It doesn't need to match with this naming. Actually, it does, I think. Let me check that. Names. First, let's use this. Now we don't have property, so we won't use it. Rajat is here. I'll change it to naming just for fun. Yeah, you need same property names, whatever you have passed in here, and which makes sense also. Name. Okay, so now you can see the power of JavaScript, JSX also, that now we can use variables in our HTML directly. Okay, that's the very basic advantage that I'm giving you. There will be looping of things, there will be if-else clause, not if-else clause, but a mixture of those kind of things. There will be a lot of things, ternary operators, those kind of things. But do we need this in Navbar? No. So let's get rid of it. Now, similar to this, if you're following this along, I would recommend you to pause this video and create a similar component called footer. Okay, I'll start doing that. Now, it is not giving me any error if I don't use these navbars. I'm not using these properties in my navbar and it won't give me any error. Okay, as long as I'm using JavaScript. If I would have been using TypeScript, mostly it would have given me error. So I'll create the other component. You can do that too. Let's create another one, footer.jsx. In that, I'll create a function. Okay, I'll explain you one more thing. Sorry, const footer equals to, I'll have to export this, export default footer. Now there are a couple of things that I want to explain you, but let's just render it correctly first and then I'll explain you. This is footer. Let's go to here, import this, or maybe you can do it in a bit more shortcut way. Directly start typing footer and you will be able to import this directly. This is a footer. Okay, closing tag is incorrect, so let's fix that. And we can see this is a footer. Okay, now there are a couple of things. We want to export it, that's fine. But if we don't write default, we'll have to export it in a bit different way, which will be this. Okay, and we will have to import it in a bit different way, which will be this. Okay, we'll be using this a lot, and you can see the output is same. But the main concept behind this is If we are writing default, that means only one function or one function is getting exported from this particular file, and by default the name of that is footer, so you can directly access it. But if you want to export a lot of different components or a lot of different functions, in that case you can get rid of default and you can mention all of them in this object. XYZ, these are all function names, okay? But we won't be doing that. In most of the cases we'll be using default. Whenever we'll need to send a lot of different, whenever we'll need to export a lot of different functions, then we'll use remove default and use that object. So let's get rid of this. So that's the first thing that I wanted to explain. Second thing is, this is an arrow function. From that, you can understand that this is a functional component. There is another way of doing it, which is a class component. Like you can create this similar thing using classes. You can search about this on the internet and try to understand from this, but the current coding convention that the industry is following is that functional components are much more helpful, much more easier to maintain. So we will be using functional component only throughout this application until and unless there is a clear advantage of why we should use class component. Okay. So if you don't want to go in depth of class component, that's completely fine. You are not missing on anything else, but you should just be aware that, okay, there is another category of components that you can create. So we have this footer. Okay, I'll just quickly do challenges or features. Let me check timings. 26 minutes. So uh, maybe I should just finish the navbar and footer first. So now we'll just design the navbar. Okay, for that, I have Tailwind UI, paid version of Tailwind UI. You don't have to buy it. And also I won't be using it very frequently. But for this particular case, I'll do this because I don't want to focus a lot of my time on front-end related work. But let's do it. Code. What I want is just this, nothing else. So in navbar, uh, we can directly create a div here. Class name. I'm using these properties, which are margins on x axis should be auto. The maximum size should be this. Px padding x basically, and small, large, and large, small, and by default value should be different. I'm not going in depth of Tailwind CSS because again that should be easy for you to understand. Okay, now this is not working because we haven't written anything, so navbar. And we can see it is starting from here, but if I change it, okay, it is correctly getting changed, right? So let's start working towards this one. Uh, I'll create another div inside this. Maybe we don't need this div later on, but for now I'll create this. I'll create a class name called call it flex, and inside that I'll create two components. One will be div for logo. We'll create the logo and everything. And second thing will be, I think, just a button for now to sign in. But I think I'll create it again inside a div because for now it will be just a button, but later on we will show profile picture, logout, and all those kind of things. So we'll see later on. Button, logout. So you can see logo and logout is appearing here. Uh, for better visibility, what I can do is I can change the background color to, PG blue 400 so that it's much more clearly visible. Okay, there is one issue. I will need this background color. So I'll wrap this inside a div and I'll use class name BG Indigo 500. So we have this entire background color and we have this BG. Let's get rid of this. Now I want this logo on the left side and logout on the right side. So for that I can use justify between. JUSTIFY between. So we have logout on the right and logo on the left. And we can make minimum height for this H20. Yeah, it's a good height. Maybe reduce it to 16, not sure. Yeah. We want these items to be vertically center. So item center. Okay, it won't work because we are using div, I think. We'll fix that later on, no worries. Let's start focusing on the button part. Class name. I'm just thinking something. What type of button I want to create? Or maybe I'll create a white background only. Yes, and inside this button, I'll write BG blue, not blue, indigo. Indigo 500. So we have this button. I'll make it rounded, rounded MD. Got it. Or maybe just rounded. Yes. PX3, PX2, PY 1.5. Whatever number that I'm writing here, 2 will get multiplied from 4, 1.5 will get multiplied from 4, 8 will get multiplied from 4. So basically it means 8 pixels margin on left and right. So we can see this. And class name flex items center. Okay, it is not working, so let's get rid of it. I won't fight with CSS a lot in this video series. And what else do we need? Text color, no. I want to increase this to 3. Yes, now it looks a bit better, but it's still not that great. Let's just center these things first. So for that, let me inspect this to understand what is happening. We have this div. Inside that, we have this div. Okay. So why is it not coming in center? Flex. Nope. Vertically center in div in Tailwind CSS. Let me put this on charging. Justify center, item center. Nope. Align middle, but it should not work actually. Align middle is incorrect. I know that part. Yes, let's get rid of it. Justify center, item center, all of these are correct. Maybe just using this should work. Yes, that div was creating issue, I think. Nope, bad work here. Okay, I'll have to decide whether I want to fight this CSS or not. It looks bad, but I'm just thinking. How much time have we crossed? 34 minutes. So, flex justify between item center. We have done all of these things. For now, I'll increase this to see things a bit better. Make it PY auto will work? No, I don't think so. It should not work. Flex items center. Okay, no worries. I'll go to my Tailwind code and see if something comes up. So we have this div. It's a bit messy. Justify start, justify center, item center, flex items. Maybe flex one should work here. Okay, let's not fight this. Let's make it a bit easy. Let's get rid of the fixed height. And instead of that, let's use margin Y 4. Now we have this fixed. We'll see about CSS later on. I don't think I have to worry about this. That is not my focus in teaching for this series. I will copy my SVG also. No, I won't copy it. Code challenges. I'll keep it simple. H1, H1. Logo should not be H1 actually. Later on we'll change it. P. Class name. PY, sorry, bold. Font, bold. Yes. Text, large. Yes, no, not large. 2 XL. Looks fine to me. Obviously, it's not the best, but for now, I'll keep on doing it like this only. So we have this whatever we needed, and let's have a shadow. So we have the shadow also. So it looks fine to me. I'll copy this something similar and paste it in my footer also. So we have this footer. Now I'll organize this first. So in this footer, I don't need a shadow. Let's get rid of this. In this footer, I don't need this, but I need some logos in between. Okay. Maybe I have created a screenshot for that. Let me check. Nope. Yes. I want something like this. So icons, text, text. Okay. So let's follow this. Uh, icons followed by text or followed by text, right? And this will use icons. So div, let's keep it like this. Flex call. Refresh and we can see icons, code challenges, code challenges. Okay. Now instead of code challenges, let me go back to my screenshot. Let me copy this, go to code, paste it here. And in this, I'll use something simple. I'll use a small text. I'll use medium. No, not medium. I don't want to highlight this. And I'll use text gray 600. It looks like this, which is fine for me. Let's copy this. Maybe font needs to be changed to medium. Got it. Now I'll copy this, paste it here. And what is the second line that we have? We have this, developed by this. Okay, it's an SVG followed by an SVG, so let's do that. Uh, Hero icons. You can use hero icons as import also in React, but I'll still copy this code, copy SVG, paste it here. There are some errors, we'll fix them, no worries. Second one is heart. I want that to be solid, and this is another SVG. Again, same errors will appear, but let's not worry about that. Great. Now we just have to fix the alignment for that. So for that, what I'll do is I'll use flex. So this was fixed. Now let's use gap in between, gap of 2 at least. So there is some space here. Uh, I'll keep gap between these items also. So gap of 2. We have some space here. Now let's focus on fixing these sizes of these icons. But before that, we have to fix these. So these are HTML related attributes, but in React, we have to use something like this. The naming convention changes. So I'll make it quick. Basically, I'll copy this, find this, paste this, and I'll use this. Okay, so this will fix some of it, not all. Width, class name, anything else? Class name. Great. And let's fix the icon size also. So for that, we can make it 4, 4. Okay, but they don't look center aligned. So for that, I'll use here item center. Now they look much better, and I'll make it red. So for that, let's get rid of this. We don't need this. And fill red 500. Great. So this one has been done. I'll change the stroke width here. This looks really thin. So to fix this, I'll change this to 2. Looks a bit better. This is fixed. This is fixed. Now we have to use icons. Instagram, GitHub, LinkedIn, YouTube. So let's go there. Instagram. Okay, we don't have it here. So for that, what I can do? Icons it. Okay, it doesn't look that great. Free icons. Let's have a look at our flat icon. Instagram. This icon, right? So it's almost similar to this. Other details will control from our SVG code. So, okay. Download vector image in SVG format. It's a paid one. Icons finder. Or maybe I'll use something from here, but I want this to be on free. Yes. SVG, download SVG, no copy. We can save these in assets also, but I'll do this in a bit simpler way. Okay. Maybe this one we will need to save it in SVG assets. So assets, let's save it. And what else we can change? Class name. BG gray 200 or maybe 500. Use assets in React. I think we can directly import this. Let's go to footer, import Instagram from, or actually not like this. We can directly write // assets / Instagram.svg. Yes, Instagram from this, and we can use it like this. So let's use it. src. Let's see how it looks. And it did not work. Why it did not work? Let's go to Instagram. We have this entire code. Let me check the inspect code. Console, not console. Body div. We are here. Inside that we have this. We have this. We have this image, but the size is 0. So somehow sizing is problem. So for that, let me write something called as class name h4w4, which is 16px by 16px. Yes. So I'll increase this to 6 by 6. Looks better. And I'll change the color code to BG gray 500. Okay, not BG, fill, or maybe. Okay, no, let's not worry about this. It's not a big deal. We can optimize on all these things quite easily later on. So now we will have to change the alignment. For that, class flex between them, I'll add a gap of 2 so we can see they are separate, or maybe 3. And I want to give a bit space here, extra space. So for that, I'll use margin top 4. Yes. And now let's start changing the icons. So I'll copy this, paste it again, again. Get rid of this one, delete. GitHub, LinkedIn, YouTube, right? GitHub, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we don't need this one. So let's get rid of it. For GitHub, I'll directly go to here, GitHub, go here, SVG, copy. Okay, we'll have to import all these. So let's import them first. Let's close all these icons and import them. GitHub, H should be capital, GitHub, YouTube, LinkedIn, GitHub, Instagram, YouTube. I know it might be boring at some point because I'm doing it all these boring stuff now, but whenever you are creating a big project, these things will happen. Like some part will be really interesting and some part will be really boring. Refresh and we can see GitHub is visible. So next one I'll do is YouTube. Let's go here, copy. Let's go to YouTube and paste it. Sorry, copied. paste. And after that, LinkedIn, copy, paste in LinkedIn. Refresh, and all of these looks good. We haven't linked them correctly yet, but we'll do that later on, no worries. Because we'll use something called as link instead of an A tag. So at that time, I'll have to explain everything. Link external socials. Okay, so we have a footer. We have a footer will look good on a lot of screens. Obviously, this much screen we don't have, so we don't have to worry about that. Otherwise, it will look on a lot of screens. So I'm fine with this one right now. The only change I will do is go to app and I'll shift this footer at the bottom. Great. So we can see footer is here. This is here. Next video, we will start working with features and maybe work. So basically, next video, we will see what all things we can work on. I'll keep this video short because it is last 15 minutes have been boring for you and a bit boring for me also, but I will have to do all these things. And you will also have to do all these things with your project. So yeah, that's it. Do comment, share, subscribe, and let me know how how was your experience in this particular video. Thank you. Bye bye.